Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope you had a peaceful weekend. And if you are in United States, I hope you had a peaceful holiday today, whatever you're celebrating. And of course, if you're in Canada, happy Thanksgiving to our Canadian friends. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for paying attention, although many places it's a holiday, as I mentioned. Today, I began the day by actually launching something new, which is quick news. Usually, I post just clips without any context, but I believe in this day and age, we really need some context and also straightforward actual news. Because what usually happens, you wait till the very end of the day when we meet live, where we do the recap. It's also a longer format. What if you just have about 10 or maybe 8 minutes? And so I started launching this quick news. And so just one topic at a time, 10 minutes or less. Well, one was 11 minutes, forgive me. But so you can just consume content whenever you have time, wherever you have the ability to. And so the first one this morning was about Trump's Middle East gamble, hero, savior, or chaos ahead. And there I reviewed his visit to Tel Aviv, what happened there, the release of the hostages. As I mentioned there, the 20 hostages, Israelis, have been released by Hamas. The very last hostages that are alive now, 23, it differs, 23 to 28 hostages that have passed, and their remains. Again, there are conflicting reports at this point. Have they been transferred to the Red Cross? Have they not? But they will be or are on the way to being transferred. Also, Israel has released around 2,000 Palestinian prisoners in very different conditions as well. So if you want, again, to have detailed coverage of Trump's Tel Aviv visit, with all the stuff where they praised him, with all the stuff where they gave him the golden dove of peace and the highest honor award of Israel, and then they put this whole thing, you are a winner for Nobel Peace Prize, and all that yada yada stuff, please, again, it's just 11 minutes long. Once you're done here, please watch this recap here. Next, I also recapped the visit to Egypt. And this was sort of planned in the past 24 hours for Trump, where about 20 world leaders showed up in Egypt to essentially praise him. This was theater extraordinaire. He claimed he solved 3,000 euro peace deal. Again, all the footage is here with weird handshakes, with weird jokes, with hints, sort of like flirting with Meloni, and the tug of war with, shaking everybody's hand and making sure Erdogan is the Turkish leader is posing with thumbs up and all this nonsense. It's there. It's 8 minutes long. Go ahead. Watch it. It's there. So this is how it looks like, Trump in Egypt. So go ahead. You have first recap. You have second recap. Because I don't want to focus on that footage. We have a lot to cover today. In fact, Trump lands in Tel Aviv and hostages return. We did that separately. But then Belarus goes on full combat readiness. That's what we're going to talk right now about. Russia prepares for war with NATO. Europe faces drone probes, and the world braces for what comes next. Plus, today we're going to dive deep into China's rare earth tech offensive and US semiconductor fallout, because behind all this zhu of hostages released, which is very important. And it's a very significantly, very important day today when we got our guys back. I mentioned guys because all those are gentlemen. Again, I recapped it in detail here, ages and whatnot, and stories as well. But it's also very important to pay attention to facts and what else is happening. Also, I just got this document that Trump signed and claimed he solved the 3,000 year war. Once we come down to this, we start with national news, global news. I'll have an exact readout what was signed today by Trump and Egypt and other leaders, and who was signing and whatnot. I have the exact readout just released by the White House, so I'm going to be reading this out once we come to that topic. Also, to that note, I wanted to show some factual information. We need to pay attention to facts that also under Biden administration, we had 97 hostages, Israelis, returned alive. As you see here, 89 of them were released by Hamas through truce deals, humanitarian agreements, and unilateral releases. 8 of them through military operations between February 2024 and June 2024, and others. This was by IDF. But altogether, during Biden administration, from January 2021 to January 2025, 97 returned alive. And those sources, as you see here, is Biden White House, ABC News, Washington Post, Al Jazeera, Times of Israel, and most importantly, it was confirmed by IDF and Israeli media. So let's please keep our head on a swivel and yes, celebrate today, but also pay attention to everything else that is going on. So let's say hi real quick. Hi, Morgan. Hello. Hi, Ignacio. Recap was excellent. Thank you. Ooh, took me all day. Like I started at 9 a.m. in the morning. Now it's 7. I haven't eaten yet. So it was so gross. That event was just butt kissing the emperor. Amen to that. And that's why I really don't want to, please watch 8 minutes. I did everything super short. Not many Trump speeches. Just go ahead, watch it, get it done, get it over with. Let's not, mainstream media, legacy media does all the work bathing in this Trump galore. So if you're up for that, go ahead. Hi, Tidy Whitey. Hello, Ignacio. Hello. Okay. Major headlines. Let's talk about some national news, right? Because when we have a big event, a lot of things go overlooked. Here's my job to bring it back to the surface. So, White House iron fist over Congress. The Wall Street Journal reports that inside the White House, senior advisors are joking that they are ruling Congress with an iron fist. According to several people who have heard the comments firsthand, Steve Bannon, one of Trump's closest allies, compared Congress to Russia's Duma, a legislative body widely seen as ceremonial and compliant. And by the way, this idea came from Kremlin to Witkoff. And when Trump was, in fact, addressing the Knesset, the Israeli parliament today, he, joked or presented it as a joke that, in fact, Witkoff went to Kremlin, not really being familiar with Putin or Kremlin or history or anything. And he thought he will be talking about 10, 20 minutes with Putin, but he ended up talking 5 hours. And he had no translator, no nothing. But he said, well, it was very important to talk to Putin for 5 hours, which, it's just unheard of. To send an envoy who's completely unprepared to Kremlin to talk with murderer Putin, who has been murdering civilians on a daily for 3 years and invaded sovereign Ukraine in 2014 and annexed Crimea. So, it's just horrific, but, we'll get more to that. But anyway, that idea to, and that's the rhetoric that I used last week, that essentially what Biden administration did right now is they unplugged one huge branch of the government, the Congress, which is like, okay, you're just going to be ceremonial. And, until you figure it out or just plug it out. Very un-American, has nothing to do with democracy whatsoever. But Also, what something is very Russian and has nothing to do with democracy, that if you are on TikTok and you really love it and perhaps you make money on it, just be careful, because we know which direction this goes. So Baron Trump is tipped meaning some have pitched him to be on the board of TikTok. Baron Trump is 19. He's going to college, but regardless, New York Post, Daily Beast, Telegraph are all reporting that he's being heavily considered to join TikTok board to modernize the platform for young users. Please. However, there is no evidence of formal talks yet. Again, this is all pitched. But again, once the sale goes through, then we probably won't even know, any considerations until it's over, until it's done. For now, ByteDance has a say in this, and neither Barron nor Trump campaign has commented publicly. For now, the proposal appears to be floated idea, but again, it's being very much floated within the Trump universe. Also, something I want to draw attention to, which is nonsense, but Trump was gaggling meaning talking to press on Air Force One when he was flying to Israel. And so during this airborne Q&A, some statements that he delivered on Hamas rearming itself and shooting rivals as police force, he says, because they want to stop the problems. They have been open about it, and we gave them approval for a period of time. And in fact, they shot a very, I think, known and devoted reporter on day one of that so-called ceasefire. Now, on Iran and Qatar, he says, you can walk from Iran to Qatar in 1 second. Let me pull up a map. From Iran to Qatar, you can walk in 1 second? Thank you for commenting, sus. That fits here too. You see Qatar in the middle? Yeah, the little round, yeah, and then Iran, and you can walk in a second. He's walking on water. Well, Israel said that, what did they say? They said, Cyrus the Great is alive. Maybe he can walk on water. Also asked whether Qatar's behavior had changed since Trump himself in 2017 claimed that Qatar, rightfully so, is sponsoring terrorism. Trump said, well, quote, in 2017, I didn't really know them very well. As I got to know them, I got to understand them. I will break my promise and show you that goddamn video of one from the UAE delegation that, UAE that spent just $2 billion into Trump's fund, Trump crypto company. Take a listen. He was greeting this delegate, just 10 seconds. Take a listen. They have a lot of cash, unlimited cash. All that is summarized, by the way, in this 8-minute recap, so go ahead and watch it. It's from today. On Ukraine and weapons. Quote, the U.S. itself does not send Ukraine any weapons. We send them to NATO, and NATO pays, which is a big difference between Biden and me. No way, Jose. Because Biden gave them $350 billion. And we did not. We gave them respect and something else, honestly. So whenever somebody is being killed by another, you just walk by and you're like, I give you respect. Better than help. How dare you? Then continued the quote, we discussed with Zelensky the supply of tomahawks. Well, we'll see what happens. They really need patriots. They wanted tomahawks. Honestly, I may have to talk to Russia about tomahawks. Do they want tomahawks flying their way? I don't think so. If this war isn't resolved, I may send them tomahawks. Tomahawks are incredible, very offensive weapons, and Russia doesn't need that. So we're going to ask Putin what we're going to equip Ukraine with? Fantastic. Just fantastic. Which leads me to this nonsense. Like, come on now. Yeah, we are celebrating 250 goddamn years of our U.S. Navy, and then our U.S. Navy and the museum puts a thing, which becomes now a postmark or whatever, United States Navy birthday, adding a Russian missile cruiser on it. Like, please. reverse image search, or why are you even in the Russian database to begin with? Like, what are you even talking about? Okay, let's get to really quick. I know I summarized it, I promoted. Please watch the summary of the Israeli stuff. But I want to talk about the stage 2 or phase 2. Because all this hoopla aside, good news, hostages are back. Good news. Great, best news. Stage 2. Because they're talking about, oh, we signed this, signed that, signed this, signed that. Okay, we're going to talk about what they signed. But stage 1 is release of hostages and release of prisoners. Israel limited number of prisoners released. 250 of them were on the death row for killing Israelis. They have been released. They will be deported. All that. Plus 1,700 prisoners. Now, stage 2 requires two things. And by the way, Trump didn't write it out anyway. But stage 2 requires demilitarization of Hamas, for them to disarm themselves, put the arms down. On that, I have a little video. Take a look.
Now you're saying you don't want to and you will not disarm.
If you ask it directly, yes, we are not going to be disarmed as long as we are not sure that this will lead by any other means to have an independent, self-sovereign state which is able to defend itself.
And the second part is for Israel to withdraw from Gaza. Disarm, you saw. Hamas doesn't want to do it. Second, Israel has to withdraw from Gaza. Here's the defense minister of Israel tweeting, Israel's great challenge after the phase of returning the hostages will be the destruction of all Hamas terror tunnels in Gaza directly by the IDF and through the international mechanism to be established under the leadership and supervision of United States. He's referring to this board of directors where Trump is leader to build the Trump Gaza. This is the primary significance of implementing the agreed upon principle of demilitarizing Gaza and neutralizing Hamas of its weapons. I have instructed the IDF to prepare for carrying out the mission. Time has come. Let's read what they signed. Yeah, because I have do I have the video? I probably do have the video of Trump signing this thing, declaring the war is over after 3,000 years. Take a look.
Okay. This took 3,000 years to get to this point. Can you believe it? And it's going to hold up, too.
I don't believe it. You know why? Because it's a little bit BS. Wait. Wrong. This is, by the way, also what I recapped this morning, the cost of war. 67,000 Palestinians killed, 2 million people displaced. Also on Israel's end, 1,200 people were killed, 250 abducted, and around 1,000 Israeli soldiers have died in fighting ever since. Now, why I don't have it? I should have it. Anyway, it's complete BS about 3,000. I mean, how old is Jesus at this point? Why is 2025 this now? I mean, just please think logically. So the 3,000 year old war is really, out there, even if we think about historically. But altogether, this particular disagreement starts with the beginning of Zionism and the Ottoman Empire. So has nothing to do with 3,000 years. But he said it's going to hold up. So let's see what he signed. Again, this is from the White House with logos and everything. Reading. The Trump Declaration for Enduring Peace and Prosperity. That's the actual text. We, the undersigned, welcome the truly historic commitment and implementation by all parties to the Trump peace agreement, ending more than 2 years of profound suffering and loss, opening a new chapter for the region defined by hope, security, and shared vision for peace and prosperity. We support and stand behind President Trump's sincere efforts to end the war in Gaza and bring lasting peace to the Middle East. Together, we will implement this agreement in a manner that ensures peace, security, stability, and opportunity to all peoples of the region, including both Palestinians and Israelis. Hold on right here. You know who wasn't there to sign this or even attend the Egyptian Haligali theater meeting? Hamas wasn't there and Israel wasn't there. Netanyahu said, Jewish holiday, he cannot travel. Turned out, Erdogan said, I ain't gonna land my plane if Netanyahu is in Egypt. So Netanyahu wasn't invited. So all this BS here does not involve the two parties that are fighting with each other. Okay, just keep your head on a swivel. So they say, we understand the lasting peace will be one in which both Palestinians and Israelis can prosper with the fundamental human rights protected, their security guaranteed, and their dignity upheld. We affirm that meaningful progress emerges through cooperation, sustained dialogue, and that strengthening bonds among nations and peoples serves the enduring interests of regional and global peace and stability. We recognize the deep historical, spiritual significance of this region to the faith communities whose roots are intertwined with the land of the region. First, they mentioned Christianity, Islam, and Judaism among them. Respect for these sacred connections and the protection of their heritage sites shall remain paramount in our commitment to peaceful coexistence. Do you want to see a picture of Gaza? We are united in our determination to dismantle extremism and radicalization in all fronts. In all forms. No society can flourish when violence and racism is normalized or when radical ideologies threaten the fabric of civil life. Come on. We commit to addressing the conditions that enable extremism and to promoting education, opportunity, and mutual respect as foundations for lasting peace. We hereby commit to the resolution of future disputes through diplomatic engagement and negotiation rather than through force or protracted conflict. We acknowledge that the Middle East cannot endure a persistent cycle of prolonged war. We seek tolerance, dignity, and equal opportunity for every person, ensuring region, blah, blah, blah. We ensure a comprehensive vision of peace, security, and shared prosperity in the region, grounded in the principles of mutual respect, and shared destiny. In this spirit, we welcome the progress achieved in the establishing comprehensive and durable peace arrangement in the Gaza Strip. There is no arrangement. As well as the friendly and mutually beneficial relationship between Israel and its regional neighbors, especially Iran. We pledge to work collectively to implement and sustain this legacy, building institutional foundations upon which future generations may thrive together in peace. Signed, Trump, President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, El-Sisi, Qatar, and Erdogan of Turkey. Do you think Turkey, Qatar, Egypt, and America are actually fighting? No, Israel is fighting Qatar. Israel is fighting Palestine. Or Hamas. Netanyahu wasn't there by definition because he would not be able to sign this. Okay? I want you not just keep your head on a swivel, but open your eyes, understand for all the shit show that this is, and understand that the most biggest news here is this, that they're gonna fight. Other good news is this, hostages are back. The rest, same old. Now, Trump was asked about phase 2. You think what he has to say? Good. Trump revealed that the second phase of this proposed peace plan is already underway, though he offered few details. Quote, well, it started as far as we're concerned, Trump said as he sat with Egyptian President El-Sisi upon arriving in Sharm el-Sheikh. Phase 2 started, says Trump. And the phases are all a little bit mixed with each other. You're going to start cleaning up. You look at Gaza, it needs a lot of cleanup. Trump Gaza. Trump also appeared to set his sights on a broader diplomatic objective, Iran. Quote, we are ready when you are, and it will be the best decision that Iran can ever make, and it's going to happen, he said during his speech in Knesset. I think Iran will come along. They've been battered and bruised. They need some help. They have big sanctions, as tremendous sanctions. I'd love to take the sanctions off when they're ready to talk. So you'd start taking sanctions off of Iran that got nukes from Russia for helping them. When they're ready to talk. So all they have to do is say, hey, I'm ready to talk. You take the sanctions off. Other good news on the ground in Gaza, small signs of recovery are emerging. Cooking oil, meat, fresh fruit are entering Gaza, and 17 bakeries have opened. Let's see for how long. Now, conclusion is it peace or pause? I think it's bullshit. Okay, but I told you the biggest news. Hostages are back, thank God. And also, thankfully, that people get food and fruits, and for how long. Again, Trump got on hot mics and all that stuff. I departed to applause and music. I recapped it all. If you want to see it, that's the big departure here. Followed by this. He's walking the stairs now to music and all this jazz. Hi, Sherry. Hey, Sherry. He was reporting that he left school in New York to move to White House and will attend college. I don't know. About Barron, I don't know. But that would then prompt the National Guard to New York, because that's him at school, Melania living in Trump Tower. That's what kept New York out of this National Guard invasion story. And they're waiting for mayoral election. That plane and the golf changed his mind. Yeah, golf course. Quality ice slop in action. Hey, Devin, what are you talking about? He reduced Middle East conflict by 200, not 300. Yeah, by 1,000 principles. Right. He signed a peace agreement with himself. Right. That's exactly. Pause. Yeah. Okay. Other news. Okay, let's get out of this. Real news. Okay, back. Belarus has placed its armed forces on a state of full combat readiness, according to Ministry of Defense. President Lukashenko ordered a comprehensive inspection of readiness, which includes deployment of personnel and equipment of public roads, especially in the Minsk and Vitebsk regions, and potential air support. The exercise began on morning of October 11th, 2025, and is described as rare and unprecedented and also unreported. Ground forces, air defense units, and possibly special forces are participating. Belarus military consists of roughly 65,000 active personnel, primarily equipped with Soviet-era T-72 tanks and S-300 air defense systems. Also, Estonia has closed its border in a very specific region. I'm going to share the map so you can visualize. You see that little white thing where it said Satse and Bud? The yellow thing, that's a little road. So you see on the right is Russian Federation, on the left is Estonia, and that little weird zigzag happened there. And so there was a road where they could cross the border essentially twice, just by being on the road itself. So Estonia has shut down Satse border crossing with Russia after detecting an unusually large Russian military presence nearby. The Estonian police and border guard service reported significantly increased troop movements and patrols, far exceeding typical activity levels. Also, Institute of War, right, the ISW, Russia says Russia is preparing to not institute. Okay. Once again, the Institute for Study of War, ISW, warns that Moscow is already in phase 0, the preparatory stage for a potential confrontation with NATO. The phase includes espionage, sabotage, and unidentified drone flights over European military and strategic sites, and we saw it. Experts say Russia is building reserves and experimenting with new tactics to wage war without relying on large armored units. The Kremlin is gaining battlefield experience in Ukraine and may not wait for full force regeneration before escalating elsewhere. Meanwhile, President of Ukraine Zelensky said Moscow's recent drone and fighter jet incursions were deliberate probes of European readiness. Quote, first of all, he wanted to see Europe's reaction. He's talking about Putin. And I think it wasn't strong enough. He was checking how the air defense works, how prepared Europe is for one attack or another. He was watching the Nordic countries, watching Poland's reaction. It was a test. That's exactly what he once did with Crimea. Also, on the other hand, yes, Trump praised Orban today, said he will do anything and everything for Orban to win. I did recap that. This was in Egypt. But also Vucic, right? The leader of Serbia, also very much pro-Putin, still buying gas and all. So Serbian President Vucic expressed disappointment now over stalled negotiations with Moscow, saying Russia offered only a short-term gas deal until the end of this year. Vucic had sought a 3-year agreement with Gazprom until May 2026. Belgrade suspects the delays linked to U.S. sanctions on Serbia's NIS energy company. Vucic warned that the sanctions will affect every citizen. Washington insists the sanction targets Russia, not Serbia. But who keeps buying gas from Russia, and even more than before, despite the sanctions and the talks and the hugs and the summits and coalition of the willing and impotent and all that stuff? European Union. Several EU countries, including France, Belgium, Netherlands, Croatia, Romania, Portugal, Hungary, have increased their imports of Russian oil and gas. France, plus 40%, worth 2.2 billion euros. Netherlands, plus 72%, worth 498 million euros. Belgium, plus 3%. Croatia, plus 55%. Romania, 57%. Portugal, plus 167%. Hungary, plus 11%. Is Orban the problem? He is, definitely, but what's up with you? This comes as Trump reiterated that he would impose sanctions on Russia only if the EU itself renounced Russian oil, calling current policy self-sabotage. And, I mean, kind of looks that way. Hi, Paula. Hello. Doesn't Gaza Phase 2 about bombing Hamas tunnels? No, it's actually Phase 2 is about withdrawing from Israel, withdrawing from Gaza, and Hamas disarming itself. Then the cleansing. But Israel doesn't want to withdraw, it wants to bomb the tunnels, exactly what you're referring to. But Hamas then says they're not going to disarm. So that's status quo again. Hi, Tony. Tony says, I read Barron had actually started attending NYU Washington. Oh, okay. Well, let me research that because I really don't know. Now, some more comes out from Merkel's legacy. Last week, she made some headlines talking about negotiations once, before she departed her post as Chancellor of Germany. Now, Der Spiegel reports that under Chancellor Angela Merkel, between 2011 and 2013 specifically, German defense firm Rheinmetall was authorized to develop advanced training systems for the Russian military worth 1 billion euros. The program included simulators, software, and equipment to modernize Russian training facilities. Then, the project was terminated after the annexation of Crimea. But then Russia had already, of course, received the training and technology. So, now also, South Korea's defense minister told parliament that Russia is likely supplying Pyongyang with various technologies to support submarine development in North Korea, part of a growing arms for tech alliance bolstering Moscow's war effort in Ukraine. Quick national news. The government shutdown has entered 13th day. More than 4,000 federal employees have been laid off and 1.4 million are furloughed or working without pay. Hundreds of CDC employees mistakenly fired on Friday were reinstated after coding error. About 600, though, remain still laid off. A powerful nor'easter slamming the mid-Atlantic, bringing floods, erosion, and severe flight delays. And if you're caught in that, please stay safe and pay attention to your local news. NASA's plan to land astronauts on the moon before China hinges on SpaceX Starship, which has yet to complete key milestones and stop exploding. A Christian group behind the fall of Roe v. Wade is now building alliances with the British far right. We're going to dive into that on Friday, so if you're a member of Honest Plus, please choose the lowest subscription. join on Friday. It's off the record briefings. We're going to dive into the British situation, also about Blackstone, BlackRock, and how it all is connected. Okay, so now Trump's immigration crackdown in Chicago has intensified with videos showing citizens detained. This happened yesterday. Emergency crews rescued dozens from floodwaters in Alaska. And I'm going to do a deep dive tomorrow. I know lots of you actually asked for it today. Didn't have time since all this Middle East stuff. Tomorrow I'll dive into it. But the MIT, the first actually of universities of this caliber, rejected federal offer of funding advantages tied to policy changes. The Trump administration canceled massive Nevada solar project. The EPA is exploring wastewater testing for abortion pills. And Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff called for National Guard deployment to San Francisco. Trump announced a Medicaid drug pricing deal with AstraZeneca. The administration supports a court order forcing gun groups to disclose membership lists. Is that what you guys voted for? 16 people were killed in ammunition plant explosion, and at least 9 people have died in shootings across Mississippi. And Iran is promoting gender transition surgeries as a low-cost destination. So, since it's now forbidden in U.S., specific parts of U.S., you can go to Iran for a low-cost option. What kind of timeline are we in? Anyway, global news. Devastating snowstorm buried climbers' tents on Mount Everest, possibly the mountain's most intense on record. And thousands of Palestinians are walking north to find loved ones and assess the ruins of their homes amid a fragile pause in fighting. And Russian Ivanovets corvette sank in the Black Sea, likely struck by Ukrainian Magura V5 naval drones. Isn't that nice? Okay, so deep dive into China. This happened, when did it happen? Friday, I think, overnight, because I broke the news at 1 a.m. I got 500, it's almost now 700,000 reads on the website about the this what I'm gonna read out to you. We kind of failed too much to pay attention to it. We just closed it like, okay, you know, Trump wants to deflect or whatever. He was tweeting about additional 100% tariffs on China, but a big thing actually did happen there that will affect all of us. Now, recent tweet by Chinese embassy in Washington lays bare Beijing's sharply defined posture in the ongoing US-China standoff. Here's the tweet. China's position on the trade war is consistent. We do not want it, but we are not afraid of it. Since the China-US economic and trade talks in Madrid in September, the US in just 20 days has introduced a string of new restrictive measures targeting China. China urges the US to promptly correct its wrong practices. If the US insists on going the wrong way, China will surely take resolute measures to protect its legitimate rights and interests. Then the embassy tweet obviously refers to new actions by US. Quickly, those are placing multiple Chinese entities on entity list and special designated nationalist list, broadening the affiliates rule, thereby extending export control and sanctions oversight to affiliated Chinese firms, and persisting with Section 301 measures, particularly targeting China's maritime, shipbuilding, and logistics sectors. Then also, this was the tweet that I just read out, was put out by Chinese embassy in the US. Also, China's foreign ministry tweeted the following, quote, "If war is what the US wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we are ready to fight till the end," unquote. Then Chinese embassy warning takes heightened significance in light of Trump's recent announcement, where he announced on October 10th that he will impose 100% additional tariff on Chinese products, all of them, in addition to whatever is being imposed already, from November 1st or sooner, as he might decide. and Congress is not controlling him. He's connecting it to national security. All of this somehow works for him. Now, under the current regime, many Chinese imports already face tariffs between 25-30%. Trump framed his move as response to what he called China's extraordinary aggressive export curbs on rare earth and labeled Beijing's behavior as moral disgrace. Then, yes, he tweeted, I think yesterday or something, or Saturday, that Xi Jinping overreacted, he's having issues, whatever, we're best friends. Meanwhile, Trump is in a motion to cancel his meeting with Xi Jinping in South Korea. That's supposed to happen by the end of this month, where Trump would be traveling to South Korea, Malaysia, and Japan. South Korea is very upset about it because it's for them first time hosting the summit, the APEC summit, and they really hoped for that high-profile meeting to occur there to kind of score points. We'll see what will come out of it. But China's not afraid message is double-edged. On the one hand, it signals resolve and refusal to be cowed by U.S. pressure. On the other hand, it raises stakes in a confrontation that could spiral beyond trade and geopolitical domains. I did recap what will happen next according to diplomats and the sources that I hear. This is in your last Friday's Honest Plus off-the-record briefing. If you want to join, see if it works for you, if you like it. And listen, I will not disclose sources live here, but there, because it's closed up, you can certainly consume. And then also, if you're part of Honest Plus, we're going to meet on Zoom. So if you signed up, please go to honestnetwork.com/Honest Plus. I'll send you an email. And give me your email, essentially, because YouTube doesn't give me your email, so I can invite you to Zoom. There we're going to talk about off-the-record briefings and also documents that I saw from when European leaders made the pilgrimage to Washington, D.C., what will happen next with NATO bases in Europe. So I'll talk about that. Now, the big thing, though, that happened. While U.S. escalates tariff, China has moved to restrict the flow of critical materials used in chip making. And this is the biggest takeaway here. According to Financial Times, Beijing's new rules require export licenses for any products that contain Chinese-sourced rare earth or that were produced using Chinese extraction or refining methods, even if the finished goods are made abroad. This targets directly Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, the so-called TSMC, Samsung, SK Hynix, and all of which rely on materials or components tied to China's supply chain. So essentially now, for us and our big AI magnets to buy chips from Taiwan or South Korea or elsewhere, if they do contain anything sourced from China or use China's technology or methods, Xi Jinping has to allow them to do so. So we are kind of a little screwed, especially since Trump canceled the chip deal for producing semiconductor, like chips and everything in the U.S., right? Which the CHIPS Act that Biden put together, Trump pulled the money out of it. He, canceled it out. So what are we going to do? And this is what we're not really talking about, because that is needed from washing machines to actually warfare. So China's twin moves, rhetorical defiance and regulatory assertiveness, mark a turning point. The embassy's warning that China will take resolute measures is now reflected not only in statements, but in policy. So we have to see what the White House will actually do to that. We understand Trump, Gaza, we're not helping Ukraine, all this. Now, if you think about America first, what you gonna do with this? Because that is a problem. Now, flashpoints elsewhere. Dozens killed in the worst fighting in the months between Afghanistan and Pakistan, even though Trump solved wars. In Madagascar coup attempt, elite troops have sided with protesters and claimed control of the military command. In France, they have new old government. Sébastien Lecornu, or whatever you pronounce it, returns as prime minister with the reshuffled cabinet. In Seychelles election, opposition leader Patrick Hermani wins with 52.7% of the vote, and Nobel Peace Prize in Economics was awarded to Philippe Aghion, Joël Mocour, and Peter Howitt for research linking innovation to sustained growth. Also today, IMF and World Bank annual meetings began in Washington, D.C. Tomorrow, Argentine President Javier Milei is expected to meet with Trump in the Oval Office. We bought out, Argentina for $20 billion, actually helping the billionaire friend of Vicente, who is in Argentina. I covered it last week, so please get your actual briefings. Please subscribe to the newsletter. It's free. There's no paywall. Honest on Substack, ONEST on Substack, or honestnetwork.com, and you get it every day, Monday through Friday, and then Sunday, no politics edition. So tomorrow, US and China will begin collecting reciprocal port fees, which is also a biggie here. Both have now restricted port entry even. So merry Hubba Lubba Christmas. On October 15th, Allied defense ministers meet at NATO HQ in Brussels, chaired by Secretary General Mark Rutte. So that is what's coming up next. So tomorrow, Javier Milei is in Washington, D.C. The grift continues. What can I tell you? That's it. And we're done. All right. So I really want you to go and watch 11 minutes, this recap. Oh, that's today. This recap, Hero Savior Chaos Ahead, Trump's Middle East Gamble on this channel, 11 minutes, straight to the point, not many Trump videos, I promise. And then in Egypt, the hot mic, the handshaking, the remarks, the fact checks, all is there. So those two videos, the last one is just 8 minutes. So in 20 minutes, you covered. You have to watch the CNN and about all this repetition. All right? Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Tomorrow throughout the day, going to be quick news, and then I'll see you around 5 p.m. I have an interview. Very, very cool one tomorrow. So probably around 6, 7, I'll be live. Again, I will post it, but really looking forward to that interview. That's the person who you know, so it will be interesting. Paula says, great timeline. Yes. Irene, thank you. Thank you, Irene. And thank you for being Honest Plus member. I see it here. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. Todd, thank you. Thank you, Ignacio. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. If you want to support Honest, many are asking, join the Honest Plus so then we can communicate and meet also off the record and off the grid. Okay. Thank you for being here. See you tomorrow and have a peaceful night. Bye.